that. That was home for me, and I saw nothing wrong with it.
I used to walk to go to church. I used to walk to go to school.
A family community, and it still is for the most part.
And wise men throughout history have done great things for this country.
Hello, I'm Mike Billiot, and this is Interview. With each episode of Interview, I have a conversation with an elected official or some other influential American citizen having an impact on the lives of people in South Louisiana. Today, my guest is Terrebonne Parish Councilman Kevin Voisin. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Mr. Voisin. Listen, first I want to talk to you about what you were doing prior to coming to elected office. Sure. Where did you grow up, and what school did you go to?
I grew up here in Louisiana. Grew up in Houma. I was born in Terrebonne General. My dad's fond of saying I was born in Bayou Oaks, but I was born in Terrebonne General and was raised mostly on the east side. Actually, I started out in kindergarten. I went to South Down for one day, and I came back with a black eye. I saw a boy push a girl, and I didn't think that was right, and I pushed him, and I got the better. I got the punishment for pushing him, and so the next day I was at a new school. I went to St. Matthew's, then eventually went to Lisa Park, to Elysian Fields, Oak Lawn Junior High, and then on to Ellender. And then once from Ellender, I went to Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts in Natchitoches.
Tell me about Louisiana School of Math, Science, and the Arts. What kind of school is that, and how did you get to go there?
It's a great school. It's a residential high school. Basically, you go to college for your junior and senior year of high school. So you live up there in a dorm. It's a controlled environment. You have to be in at 10:30. You've got some rules that normal college kids don't. But basically, you've scored well on the ACT or SAT. You apply to go, and if you can get in, it's a fantastic situation. None of my college experience was as challenging as Louisiana School was, and so I really count it as one of the better parts of my education.
Now, after you graduated from high school, which was in what year?
I graduated high school in 1993.
Where did you go after 1993, after you graduated from high
Sure,
school?
in 93 I went straight to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. I was there until 95. In 95 I took 2 years off of school to serve a religious mission. So I served the mission in France, in Bordeaux, France. I lived in several different cities in France during that 2 years, and then in 97 went back to BYU and finished a history degree until the year 2000.
And while you were in France, were you speaking English? Were you speaking French?
Oh no, French only. Moi je parle français couramment, but I speak the King's French. I can understand Cajun French perfectly, but I just have a hard time speaking it because I learned to speak the France French.
So you are fluent in French?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Now, after you left Brigham Young University, what did you do? What was your first job?
Well, my first job was actually while I was there. My parents, at the time, I thought this was horrible, but now I think it was great. They paid for my first year of college. They paid for my room and board and tuition. And then if I was interested in finishing college, I was going to figure it out. And at the time, I thought that was so unfair. But it taught me such a wonderful life lesson that, if things are worth working for, they're worth working for. So my favorite job, which my first real job was, I was a referee for intramurals. BYU has an incredible intramurals program, over 300 football teams alone. And so I was a referee, 4 games a night, 5 nights a week. I was out there being a referee, and I did that throughout college. Ended up working for a computer training company full-time. So I was a full-time student. I worked full-time at a computer training company, and then worked part-time at nights being a referee because I just liked it. It was great exercise, and it was a fun social gathering. So worked full-time job and a part-time job, plus went to college.
When you were at Brigham Young University, what did you study? What did you major in? What did you graduate in?
I studied history, and the study of history is the history of politics. So maybe that explains now how I've gotten wrapped up into to being an elected official. But yeah, I have a history degree.
Okay. After you graduated from Brigham Young University, what do you do with your history degree? Where do you go to work?
Not a whole lot. I got into history thinking that I would actually get a law degree. I was very interested in the law degree, although I've never wanted to be a lawyer. Just the different philosophies and the training for your mind in law school always was interesting to me. But if you're not going to be a lawyer, it's kind of hard to go to law school. So eventually I had a successful web design company that I ran to pay the last year of college. Instead, I had left the training company, did a web design company, sold the web design company, and moved here to Houma to be the 8th generation oysterman that I am today.
You say 8th generation oysterman. That means that before you came back to Houma, your family was involved in the oystering business?
Absolutely. From the first Wazan off the boat, we were harvesting oysters and shrimp, and that has stayed in our family for generations. So I'm 8th generation. Now, growing up, I was never going to be in seafood. I mean, I absolutely, at 8th generation, you start to feel like it's manifest destiny, that just, this is what you're going to be, and this is what your grandpa was, and I just rebelled against that. It's one of the reasons I went so far away to college was there's no way that I would be in seafood. What's ironic, though, my grandfather did the same thing. He left to California when he was 18, got into the aerospace industry. As he got more acquainted with the aerospace industry, realized, wow, all that seafood is missing is technology, and we could really do some interesting things. He came back. Not only did he come back to seafood from another life, he also ended up being the police jury president here in Terrebonne Parish. It was Ernie Wazan. I did a very similar thing. I went out. I found for me it was computers and the internet, and he invented an ultra-high pressure process, my grandfather did, to automatically shuck oysters and to kill the bacteria in the oyster at the same time. Well, the automatic shucking machine for oysters, I mean, you're talking about the holy grail in the oyster industry. As I was finishing up school, he was inventing this, and they say sometimes things are just in your DNA, and I think oysters are just in my DNA. I just couldn't stay away. It was such an exciting thing, and I saw how my technical expertise could come in and bring a new aspect to the company and really help to market it and to grow.